Okay. Good evening, everyone. May I have a motion to return to regular board meeting to public session? Blackinger and Mr. Banner. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. I call the regular board meeting to order and all board members are present. Kasparak Bogdan, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have regular announcements. Please be advised that in case of fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. Item 3, recognition. Dr. Brownhall.
Thank you very much, President Singh. So this evening, we have 2 school spotlights. Our first school spotlight highlights Maple West and their school-wide read aloud, which helps foster a sense of belonging, friendship, and unity. I'd now like to welcome Principal Jason Smith to share more. Welcome, Principal Smith.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to share about our school-wide read aloud. This was a combined effort with our DEI and wellness teams that took place during Unity Week last month. Across Maple West, each teacher shared the book, I Am Every Good Thing by Derek Barnes and Gordon C. James, and has created identity webs with their students that have been shared within classes and across the school. Students feel like they are seen, cared about, and respected at our school, and making sure that happens is a priority for us. This is just one way that we create a welcoming and affirming environment at Maple West. I'd like to thank David Morales for coming to Maple West to work with us, and I hope you enjoy our video.
Thank you.
I'm a cool breeze, a perfect paper airplane that glides for blocks, for miles, forever.
We did a school-wide read aloud this year with the book, I Am Every Good Thing, with the idea of celebrating who we are.
I am a force of nature, a miracle, a blessing.
Having our students really take pride in who they are, what their background is. We often find commonalities between ourselves, and the more you learn about someone, the more you realize you have in common, the more connected you are to them, the more bonded you are to them, the more welcome you feel in school. It's not just nice to be able to share who you are, it's essential to share who you are.
I chose soccer because I love to play soccer, and I chose orange because my favorite color is orange. And I'm a sister of 2 because I have a twin and an older sister.
We created identity webs for our whole school from kindergarten to 4th grade, showcasing the uniqueness of each person. It gives them a foundation and they can build on that, gives them some sort of independence. They mature on that, they grow on that. It's a nice thing for the students to see. They walked around the building, they're all looking at each other's pictures and they really love it. It's important because you're creating a community. We're all different, but we can all work together and create a wonderful community that we have to learn from each other and respect each other, and that's how we grow.
I chose kind because I am kind to my brother and my sister at home. I wrote funny because I tell jokes. I chose soccer player because I love playing soccer. And I chose middle child because I am the middle of my family.
Identity webs build a community of trust, love, empathy, compassion, but it also deepens understanding that we are all individuals with an identity. We're all unique and different, but we can also learn from that. Their name could be different. Their ethnic background could be different. Their holidays are celebrated differently, and it begins to grow and build a community of support, love, and empathy.
I am a nonstop ball of energy, powerful and full of light. I am a go-getter, a difference maker, a leader.
We always say here at Maple West, we are one big family, and we really want to build that welcoming and affirming environment that just really creates that sense of my school, my teachers, they care about me, they care about who I am, they care about where I come from. Families are going to feel that connection. They're going to want to be a part of who we are and a part of our community, and that's really important to us.
That was awesome. Thank you very much, Principal Smith. Our next school spotlight takes us to Forest Elementary for their annual Sharing Basket initiative. Not only does this event help students understand the importance of giving back, especially during the holiday season, but also builds community. I'd now like to welcome Principal Keith Wing to tell us more.
Thank you, Board of Education, for hosting us tonight. It's always special to be able to talk about our school. When we do our annual sharing basket every November, we're really able to help teach our students empathy, character, a school community spirited event, and we have a lot of fun with it. And when I was able to speak to you last year, we talked about our Run Force Run 5K, which in many ways is similar in that we're having fun as a school. We're doing something that's good for our school community, and it's teaching those wonderful character skills that are so important, especially at the elementary level. So with that, I'll turn it over to the video.
The Sharing Basket is Forest's annual food drive that's run for a week every year in November. And it's meant to let the kids know that there's families in need and they have an opportunity to help other families by bringing in food. I think it helps build character. I think it helps them understand that a good trait to gain is to give and to help other people.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good day. Have a good day.
I think anything we do to service others in our community creates that sense of citizenship for children. Doing something that's an activity helps them to internalize it a little bit more. They're coming in with their bags. They know the purpose of it. They get to see the growth of all the food on the tables. It's just a really nice sense of pride for the children and a sense of giving for us as a community here at Forest.
This is crazy. I never thought it would be this much.
They're so excited. They're excited to contribute. They're excited to do something positive for somebody else, and that's a really special feeling. You know, one of the most important things we do at an elementary school is teach character. This is part of that teaching of character, and so I think it's a really special thing that we do. It's great that our district has this food pantry because we do have a lot of families that benefit from it, and it's really special for us to be able to know we're helping families right in our neighborhood.
Forest is a very special school to begin with. The community is so strong within this school. The families are very close. The teachers and support staff and everybody involved gets an opportunity for everyone to work together. It just warms my heart every year. It's so exciting.
Awesome. Finally, we have a special recognition for one of our teachers, Miss Lexi Homburger, a third grade teacher at Dodge Elementary. We often say our teachers go above and beyond for our students and families. They are our everyday heroes. Not too long ago, Miss Homburger noticed a student in distress, realized they were choking, jumped into action, and dislodged an object, helping resolve what could have been and turned into a dire situation. Miss Homburger saved a student's life. I and the Board of Education would like to say thank you and welcome Dodge Principal Charlie Smilnich, Assistant Principal Nicole Mayers, the Bork family, and Miss Lexi Homburger to be recognized.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Bork's gonna want to talk, but I just want to say, hey, what Miss Amberger did was truly fascinating and phenomenal. She came down to my office after, and she was cool and calm as can be after it all happened, and it was a pretty intense moment, scary moment for all of us. Mr. Bork teaches in our district, so he understands the stress we go through every single day. But all I can say is, Lexi, she did a phenomenal job. She went into action, and I'm truly thankful and grateful that she was the one in that classroom with all of her experience and training behind the scenes and coaching. So again, Lexi, thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I this is going to be tough to get through because she literally saved my son's life. But so I had a whole thing written up. I'm going to skip some of it. But so first of all, I want to just introduce myself. I'm Jason Bork. I've been in the district for 19 years. I teach at Transit Middle School, 8th grade science. So I'm here not only as a father, but also as an employee. There's a couple things that I'd like to ask the district. So I'm going to skip to the story because we kind of just went through that. But it was because of Miss Hamburger that we actually celebrated Noah's 8th birthday this past weekend. And it was because of her that we were able to do that. Like, it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me, that, I almost lost my son that day. So she's truly a hero, and you are our angel, and thank you. Thank you so much. But after the incident, I learned that Miss Hamburger, had been trained in CPR because she's a coach in the district, and the district does mandate that all coaches be CPR and AED certified. I am grateful that the district does require the CPR training for coaches and physical education teachers. It is obviously a valuable thing that's required. As a general education teacher, however, in the district, I'm not required to be CPR certified. The district does offer a CPR certification class to teachers. However, it was full when I inquired about registering the day after Noah's incident. I would like to ask a few things of the board for the district. First, if the CPR classes are full, could we please look at offering maybe another session so teachers that are interested can sign up? Also, the only notification I got about the class was an email in the beginning of the year. And as a teacher, the emails in the beginning of the year are fast and furious, so that kind of got lost in the shuffle. So maybe I could ask, maybe the building principals could maybe mention the CPR training at a faculty meeting, probably not the September one, but like October, November, once things calm down a little bit, just so that general education teachers know it's open to them as well. I never took it because I always assumed it was for the coaches and the physical education teachers. I guarantee you I'll be in the next session when it's open. And then the last thing I would like to ask the district to consider, throughout the district, we have 1,000 teachers or so, right? So not everybody's ever going to be CPR certified. However, there is a device that I ask you guys to consider looking into purchasing. This is called the LifeVac, and for $240, you can get a school kit for 4 of these. So under $1,000, we could put these in every cafeteria at least throughout the district. And I think this would be a valuable purchase. It's literally just a plunger attached to a face mask. There's very little to no training for this. You just put it on and, you suck the whatever it is out. If Miss Hamburger wasn't trained, the time it would have taken to possibly get somebody to help could have been obviously, not so good for Noah. So I just ask that you possibly look into purchasing the LifeVac for the schools. I feel it's a small price to pay for a tool that could potentially save a life. So I just want to say in closing, thank you for your time and consideration. And again, I want to publicly thank Ms. Somberger for saving my son's life and giving my family the opportunity to put him to bed that fateful night. So thank you. Thank you.
If you, Ms. Homberger and the Bork family, if you could please, and Principal Smilnich, Assistant Principal Mayors, come over here for pictures.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Homberger. Are there any other board acknowledgements? Ms. Beckinger?
I was thrilled to attend the Williamsville North ribbon cutting ceremony for the new location of their coffee shop called The Hot Spot. And it is run by their entrepreneurship class. And you can go there and get a coffee or a bagel between classes. And this ribbon ceremony was very well attended by all the students and a lot of fun to be at. So congratulations, North, and the entrepreneurship class for putting that together. They take all the profits of that and they put it back into the school or donate to local charities.
That's awesome.
I have one more, unless someone else. And also, this is, we're sad to say goodbye to our district assistant operations and finance superintendent. And Tom, you'll be greatly missed. I know you'll still be hanging around, but this will be your last official board meeting. We're very sad to see you go, but we will have some cake at the end. If anyone that is here would like to have some cake after our board meeting. Thanks for all you do for us, all you did for us, and you'll be missed. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I just want to acknowledge some of all the fall sports seasons. Obviously, Williamsville always produces good teams in many different sports, but just being a soccer coach, I follow soccer a lot. So I want to congratulate the North, South, and East boys soccer teams. Williamsville East and South actually faced off in the section A1 with South prevailing. At home, that's where I went and played. So I got bragging rights over my nephews who lost, but and North, lost to Clarence, but it's difficult to make it that far. So they had good seasons along with many of the other sports seasons. So congratulations.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge the two holidays that are coming up at least. Wish everyone in the district a happy Thanksgiving. And then also Hanukkah is starting December 7th, which before our next board meeting. So I wanted to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah who celebrates.
Awesome.
And
One more.
Here's my gift.
Since you mentioned Williamsville South girls volleyball won sectionals for the state. I'm not sure of the title, but what's that?
Section 6.
Oh, Section 6. So congratulations to the volleyball team.
And also Will East girls tennis went to states, I believe. Yes.
That's why I said they all did great this year.
Yeah. Lots of sports teams.
And one last thing, I just wanted to wish our community belated Diwali. It was on Sunday, and in some places also on Monday. And also wanted to wish our board member a very happy birthday, Miss Maureen.
Happy birthday, Maureen.
And moving on, item 4, public expression. I call on Ms. Blackinger to review our public expression format.
Welcome to all that have come to observe this regular board meeting. Per policy 1510, the board allows up to 30 minutes of public comment, a time when we invite members of our school community to share ideas, opinions, and concerns with us. While we are here to listen carefully and we take your concerns seriously, public comment is not designed to be a discussion. Therefore, please do not expect us to respond tonight. Instead, you will receive a response by email after our meeting. Because we want to maintain mutual respect and civility, please ensure comments are delivered in a respectful manner to the board directly. Also, under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments related to employee personnel information or any topic that may disclose information about a particular student. On these matters, we ask that you go through the appropriate administrative channels. Please note that individuals are required to sign up prior to our meeting, and each speaker is allocated 3 minutes for comments. You will be signaled at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. At this time, we will begin public comments. After I call on you, please step up to the podium and state your name. Amber Sastry. Hi, Amber.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amber Sastry, mother of 3 children in our school district, ages 12, 8, and 6. I'm here to support outdoor recess. I'm very proud that our school district has a daily recess policy and guidelines that encourage going outdoors, and that our superintendent is actively promoting implementation of that policy. I am here because we need to live up to the guidelines that this board has outlined, which state outside preferred, unstructured time, and minimal use of personal devices and individual student screen time. As the board reviews policy 5661 on wellness, nutrition, and fitness, which includes recess, I am asking you to elevate the importance of this issue. Specifically, I am asking our district to communicate the benefits of outdoor free play in all seasons to our staff, teachers, and to our parents, whose cooperation and support is necessary to having children dressed for the weather. Many of us are aware that outdoor recess benefits our students' learning, social connections, emotional well-being, and physical health. But we may not all be aware that there are schools in even colder climates that take their students outside for daily recess all year round. I'm asking you to encourage our schools to understand any barriers to implementing the recess policy according to this board's guidelines and to work to address those barriers. And I am asking the Board of Education to consider the importance of outdoor recess as you carry out your other business for the district. For example, as you plan for new buildings and invest in existing schools, consider recess spaces and plans. As you investigate alternate school hours, consider adequate time for recess play and transition. As you allocate students across buildings, consider that our 5th and 6th graders are still elementary age, regardless of what building they attend. As you work on policies and programs for social, emotional learning and wellness, consider recess as a critical component of these. As you work on personnel plans, consider creative ways to staff recess that works for students and teachers. For example, rotating teacher recess duty or hiring recess monitors or allowing interns or other volunteers to assist. As you direct and review the triennial evaluation of policy 5661, instruct our administrators to include measures of how the recess policy is being implemented, including how much outdoor time and unstructured physical play students are getting versus screen time. Promoting a culture of outdoor recess involves the entire community. Let's work together. If we can get more students outside on more days for more of the year, our children will see the benefits: academic, physical, social, and emotional. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Danielle Bikert.
Good evening. I'm Danielle Bickert, a dedicated elementary teacher of 16 years, and I'm proud to be a universal pre-K teacher at Country Parkway. For the past 2.5 years, my colleagues and I have built an incredible student-centered program. We work tirelessly with our teacher aides, our principal, instructional coaches, and content directors to offer 4-year-olds a comprehensive, well-balanced, and interactive curriculum. We all agree with John F. Kennedy, who said, "Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future." I'm here to say unequivocally that UPK needs to stay in our district schools, led by highly trained Williamsville teachers. Students who attend a full day have the advantage of receiving direct instruction in all content areas, as well as the time needed to develop essential social and emotional skills. As a professionally trained and former kindergarten teacher, I know the rigor and demands facing our UPK graduates. Therefore, I prepare my students extremely well to meet those expectations. While we all know that the UPK standards are the same across the state, it is the way in which the standards are taught that can make a profound difference. As district UPK teachers, we all take advantage of professional development to further hone our practice and stay current with research-based strategies. What's more, we have greater consistency in staffing, whereas frequent job openings in center-based programs show a perpetual turnover or lack of certified, highly trained educators. It should come as no surprise that district families and colleagues in kindergarten recognize and strongly comment on how well prepared our graduates are to enter kindergarten. Stakeholders, I ask you, what research have you done to support the claim that center-based UPK offers the same quality of education as school-based UPK? What creative out-of-the-box solutions have you explored to maintain Williamsville teachers in lead roles? Why are you willing to diminish the program to a half-day schedule in community daycares when all research tells us to do otherwise? When all research tells us that this is when young children hit their most important stages of development and growth. When research tells us that this is when we establish the best possible foundation for their future. Neighboring school districts are investing in capital projects to grow their UPK programs. What do they know that we don't? What do they value that we don't? Abraham Lincoln once said, "The best way to predict your future is to create it." On behalf of Williamsville children, their families, and my colleagues, I respectfully ask you to reconsider contracting out UPK to private daycare centers. Our community's children deserve better. Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle. I have Ona on the list. I don't know if she's here. No? Okay. Tim Collins?
Good evening. My name is Tim Collins. I'm a parent of 2 kids at Williamsville East and one who has graduated. I am a member of the Buffalo Eclipse Consortium. I'm a coordinator there. Some call me the assistant chief instigator. I am an informal astronomy educator, former manager of the Kellogg Observatory at the Buffalo Museum of Science, and a podcaster. As you may be aware, Buffalo has a major astronomical event occurring in 2024 of historic proportions. It is a total solar eclipse. It is the first since 1925 and not again until 2144. In regards to Williamsville, Williamsville North has the Williamsville Space Lab Planetarium. It is the facility people seek out for information regarding eclipses and other astronomical events. It is well known in the community and in the media. This is one of the major events we even have a planetarium for. And just to add to it, Buffalo is in the national spotlight, and the Weather Channel will be making an appearance at some point during that event. The district has even bought glasses for distribution to our students. It has come to my attention that Williamsville North Space Lab Planetarium will not be allowed to handle public informational classes regarding eclipse safety. My question to the board simply is that true? And if so, respectfully, could you list the reasons why that may be the case? Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Mike Calandra?
Mike Calandra. Good evening. Thank you to the Board of Education and the district leadership for providing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I wish to thank Tom Matursky for the incredible work he did as the Assistant Superintendent for Facilities, Business, and Finance as he is retiring from the Williamsville School District. I had the pleasure of working with Tom for 18 years as the principal of Mill Middle School. Tom accomplished so much during his career, capital projects that are too numerous to mention. However, to name a few, increasing student and staff safety through physical improvements, bringing all 3 high schools to a level of collegiate athletic fields, to improving our music facilities throughout the district. His focus was always on fiscal appropriateness while continuing to improve the opportunities for students at the forefront. His level of responsibility is enormous. The number of collective bargaining units that he oversees is incredible. Most people truly do not understand how much rests on his shoulders. Tom handled and put forth budgets that maintained student programs even when the financial outlook in the state was less than positive, especially towards Williamsville. Not only did my students and staff reap the rewards at Mill with an improved courtyard and sports court, just to name a couple, but my own 3 children benefited with their educational experiences largely due to Tom Matursky. He is truly a class act. Tom, I was hoping you were going to stick around for another 5 to 15 years for my 3 grandchildren.
Me too.
But I guess not. I wish you the best in your next phase of life as you've worked so hard and earned the privilege of retirement. I highly recommend it.
Thanks, Mike. That was beautiful, Mike. Thank you. Halima Hamjad.
Hello, my name is Halima Amjad, and I'm a parent of 3 girls in the district, 2 at North High School and 1 in 5th grade at Casey Middle School. I've also come as a representative of the Islamic Society of Niagara Frontier, which is just down the street here on Heim. I wanted to thank the administration in South High School specifically. They recently set up a multi-faith quiet room. And as Dr. Corella wrote in her email, per New York State Education Department guidance, students may pray when not engaged in school activities or instruction, as long as they follow the same rules that are put in place in other aspects of the building designated to prevent disruption to the school community. Schools may excuse students from class to exercise their religion, including prayer or fasting, as long as it does not cause hardship to other students. So I just wanted to request the board that setting up a multi-faith room like this in all of the buildings would be very beneficial. And I think in the long run, right now, some of the other schools, kids have designated areas like in a corner of a classroom, a corner of an office, but having a small room, which, people from all faiths and all genders can come and, have, if they need to pray, if they need a little quiet time, it would be beneficial. And I also wanted to say a special thanks to Mr. Harding, who is the principal of Casey Middle School. He took the time out to discuss safety regarding the children. I was worried about that, so he spent time talking and discussing that. And he had a very successful assembly a couple weeks ago in which he addressed the children as far as not to be discriminatory and be inclusive. And it was very my daughter, who's in 5th grade, she really was happy with that. Just want to
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. That is all we had for public expression.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have enrollment projection presentation. Dr. Brownell.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Singh. So I'd like to welcome back to our district a friend of the district, Dr. Steve Grossman. Many of you know Dr. Grossman. He's been with us and he has developed a relationship with our district. He's been with us many years, really watching our enrollment projections and providing us the necessary data we need so we know what our class sizes, what our school enrollment will be at every school in our district, so that we're able to take action years out based on what Dr. Grossman is presenting. So I'll ask Dr. Grossman to begin his presentation at this time. And welcome again, Dr. Grossman, to Williamsville Central School District.
Very much. Okay. I feel like it hasn't been that long since I've been here because last presentation was in December.
Right.
It's only been
11 months as opposed to absolutely. Time flies.
I know, time does fly. So you're all familiar with the report, and so I won't try and spend too much time describing results and so on. We've been doing this for quite some time, so I think everybody's familiar and hopefully has looked at it. So the enrollment factors haven't changed. Changes in kindergarten class size, the current enrollment, for those in the audience who haven't seen this before, migration, which we discussed in more detail in this report, the number of resident school-age children in private parochial home and charter schools. That has a significant impact of around over 10%. So if everybody decided to come back to regular classes at Williamsville, the impact would be significant, but we don't see that happening. The number of students in out-of-district programs or incarcerated is not, there's no asterisk there because it's really such a small number, if any. High school leavers. One of the things I've noticed about this district is there's very little loss from 9 through 12 in terms of that. So that indicates to me that there's a lot of effort made to keep kids in school until they're finished with their programs. And residential development has become a concern, which we'll talk about. So I've changed up the order a little bit of the presentation. We'll start with assumptions. We'll go to the current K-12 enrollments, talk a little bit about birth rates, talk about migration. The COVID impact section is greatly reduced, thankfully, from the last couple of years. K-12, then we'll talk about our projections, our history and projections for K-12 elementary, middle schools, high schools, and then a very brief summary and conclusions, all of which is in the report. So where are we? Our assumptions continue to be, and have been for almost the past decade, 2 decades, that kindergartners will be smaller than the 12th grades leaving. A while back, I said we were going to come in for a smooth landing, and that I've now been around here long enough to see that actually happening. Some districts have had precipitous drops in enrollment, and Williamsville has not. In-migration will offset some attrition. That's assumption 2. And then housing turnover and new residential development will increase because the pandemic put a damper on it, and now things are starting to get back to normal. And the other factors that we just saw will remain the same, such as the number of students in private, parochial, and homeschooling. So you can see our graph is starting to level out. We no longer have 600, 700 students in kindergarten and 900 students in the graduating class. It's starting to level out in the 700 student range. So with probably the last over 800 class for a while graduating this year. And every year I keep making this graph bigger and bigger as I add years. And the correlation has given us a very nice way to try and predict the trends for kindergarten enrollments. Some districts, those lines cross, not good. Very hard to predict then. And that has to do frequently with businesses closing and students leaving the district and families leaving the district. But here, no, it's been very, very steady with that 5-year later kindergarten enrollment being about 13, 14, 15% greater than the birth numbers that the state provides. And migration, just again, for those in the audience, migration is the in or out net effect of housing turnover, residential development, people leaving the district. And over 20 years, in-migration has helped mitigate the effects of smaller kindergarten classes coming in Williamsville. Not true everywhere. COVID impact, as much as a 3% drop in enrollments at the height of the effect of the pandemic. And we still have the same 100 and some odd students that left for homeschooling, still in homeschooling based on the data. So hopefully we won't be talking about the pandemic in the next couple of years. So overall, in the last 5 years, we've lost another 304 students. Of course, they're not all the same students. Kids move in and out on any given day, but the total enrollment has gone down 304 students, about 3%. And what we see projected is a very small, almost statistically insignificant change over the next 5 years in the gross number of students in the district, 56. Now, where is that going to happen? Well, it's not going to happen in the elementary schools because as these kindergarten classes come in, if they stay in this high 600 and maybe close to 700 range, and then you have, and the board is familiar with hopefully by now with cohort survival ratios, and you have 2% more or 3% more first graders than you have kindergarten and 2% more second graders than you have first graders year to year. Well, and clearly that's going to stabilize the elementary enrollments. So we see that going up, again, a small number. The elementary school 5-year projections show virtually no change total. But I have to say, as I was noted in the report, the effects of housing turnover and development and things that are hard to predict, that won't be the same for every school. So, you have to be aware that overall, we shouldn't have any change in the kindergarten enrollments, but there may be in individual schools, as it were, this year. Okay. The middle school 5-year history, a reduction of 183 students. And then now we're projecting a slight increase. Again, not really statistically significant, but what we're seeing is these fourth grades going to fifth grade are now leveled out. And then the eighth grades leaving are about the same size. So that should be leveling out. But again, because of the feeder patterns and the variation in the elementary schools, you'll see some variation in the middle schools as well. And the high schools 5-year history, a loss of 234 students, and primarily because these large graduating classes have moved out. We see a continuation of that trend. Again, a small number against the total number of students in the high schools. But as you can see in the report for each high school, pretty small reductions for each one. And then we have the summary and conclusions. So here's where it gets interesting. Country Parkway seems to be moving up. Dodge, not that much. Forest Elementary, about the same. Heim Elementary, about the same. Maple East looks like a small decrease, and another decrease for Maple West. And this can change, again, this can vary with neighborhoods and apartment complexes coming online and things like that. And then when you look at the middle school, you see an increase at Casey, again, following the feeder patterns. Heim, a decrease. Mill, middle, an increase, and Transit, middle, an increase. And then all the high schools are going to decrease as the larger classes move out and the 700 some odd student classes move in. And just a note, I started with this almost 20 years ago, and the schools at that time had significantly more students than any of these projections indicate. But the building usage is extremely different than it was before. So it really, the fact that the buildings could physically hold more students doesn't mean that that's going to be acceptable today with what the buildings have been used for and the changes. All right. And so again, very simply, the K-12 enrollments will level out. The economic recovery, including housing turnover and new construction, will add students to the district. The effects of residential development will vary among the schools, and about 13% of students of school age who live in the district will continue to be in other than regular district classrooms. And Tom, it's been a pleasure working with you. Thank you. Any questions?
Any board members have questions for Dr. Grossman?
No. I do too good a job. Okay. Yes.
Dr. Lichtman.
No, it's just me. I just want to thank Dr. Grossman for his annual visits.
Yeah.
For the many years I've interacted with you, but as I've always said, you provide very valuable information. It helps us in our planning in a variety of areas. So thank you for making the trek in from Syracuse to spend some time with us and
Yeah, well,
all this information. That
I
is-
find this as much a family affair as a job. So I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Grossman.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, Dr. Brownhall, we turn it over for your report.
Thank you very much. So with the superintendent's report tonight, in the community update, I will cover items 5A and B. So I'll do the community update, and embedded in that will be the DEI calendar subcommittee update, followed by Assistant Superintendent Matursky delivering the 2024-25 budget planning presentation and the long-range financial planning report. So I'll do the first two, and then our Chief Financial Officer in his last presentations to the board will take over the last two. So I first want to acknowledge Native American Heritage Month. I have to say, I encourage everyone to be sure to watch the videos that are produced by the district. I want to applaud our Executive Director of Communications and his right-hand person, Dave Morales. These videos that are produced are phenomenal works when we honor individuals and we highlight different heritage months. So Native American Heritage Month, we do have a video on some of these individuals. I know I spoke about the Navajo Code Talkers, Deb Holland, and Standing Bear. So watch those videos that we have on our Williamsville webpage. Next, our DEI calendar subcommittee recommendations. I want to say I encourage everyone in the agenda, item 5B is a very detailed report from the DEI calendar subcommittee. So you'll remember a couple of years ago, we had a community forum, and one of the community members asked the board members, how do they petition requesting a religious holiday be recognized on our calendars? And that was then brought to the Board of Education. The Board of Education referred it to our DEI committee. Our DEI committee formed a DEI calendar subcommittee that worked tirelessly to really research what other districts are doing, to look at the legislative bills that are in front of our New York State legislature, and then to look at what the governor has already taken action on. So I want to thank our committee members. They're all listed here. We had parents, teachers, administrators, district office individuals on this committee. I want to thank them for their work on this committee. Some of the highlights include renaming days associated with religious and cultural observances on all district calendars, consistently denoting all religious cultural observances across all calendars, both print and linked online through Wix and the Williamsville Central School District, renaming breaks on the board-approved calendar at a glance, one-page downloadable PDF. And if you go to the DEI calendar subcommittee report, a lot of those specific items in recommendation number 1 include renaming fall break to Yom Kippur, renaming Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples / Italian American Heritage Day, renaming December 25th to Christmas Day, also denoting December 26th, where Kwanzaa begins and ending on January 1st, and denoting January 1st as New Year's Day, and renaming Good Friday on the one-pager. So these are recommendations that are in the DEI calendar subcommittee recommendation report online. Recommendation number 2 is to add the recommended non-public holidays to the calendar. These non-public holidays will be days off for students when they fall on a weekday. Diwali, Asian Lunar New Year, that's already a New York State public school holiday. The governor did sign that into law this past year. Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. So those are recommendations that are before our board right now. After this is presented this evening, we will have a 20-day comment period where the public is able to comment. That link will be available on our website. That information will then go back to the DEI calendar subcommittee to see if any of the recommendations need to be changed. Then that information will be presented to the Board of Education. Also, in the report online, this chart appears. So some of the questions come up saying, well, if these additional days are given off, how does that affect our student calendar, and how many additional days will that be off for our students? So for example, during the 24-25 school year, that will be 3 additional days off. Now, Asian Lunar New Year is already into law. It was signed by the governor. So we're really talking about 2 additional days off. In the 25-26 school year, we're talking about 2 additional days off. I'm sorry, 3 days off. Asian Lunar New Year happens to fall within February break during that school year. In the 26-27 school year, we're only looking at 1 additional day off because many of the holidays fall on weekends. And because they are school holidays, not federal holidays, if they fall on a Saturday, you do not get the Friday prior off. And if they fall on a Sunday, you do not get the Monday after off, because these will be designated as school holidays. All this information, again, is in board docs under agenda item 5B. I encourage everyone to look at this in detail. Submit any comments you have to the website that will be provided online. Next, our Special Education Advisory Committee. I do want to thank both Assistant Superintendent Scanzuzo and our teacher on special assignment, Kathy Raxel, for facilitating the Special Education Advisory Committee, as I was not able to attend on November 6th. But what they actually went through were the recommendations and our priorities for the 24-25 school year. So an 811 transition class for next year has been listed as a priority, and to have it included in the budget development process for the 24-25 school year. We will be hiring an additional director of special education. I believe our first round of interviews take place tomorrow. Thank you, Executive Director Floriano. Special education teacher training will be an increase and a focus. It is already a focus, but additional special education teacher training will be a focus moving forward, and a restructuring of the special education department once we hire that additional director. So those are the priorities, and those were explained, expressed, and we received additional input at the Special Education Advisory Committee meeting that took place on November 6th. The next date for SEAC has not been set yet, but as soon as that date is set, we will send meeting invites out and we will make it known to the SEAC committee. Universal Pre-K. So I want to give our current state of universal pre-K in the district. We do have district UPK classes. We have 2 at Country Parkway and we have 2 at Forest Elementary. Please know we also have full day UPK in community-based organizations outside of the district. Over 220 students attend UPK classes outside of the district. When we make decisions that affect any of our programming in the district, we have to take a global view. We do not have the luxury as a leadership team or as a board of education to have a myopic view on any decisions we make. We have to take a very global view. And this is one of the things that we have to actually work with and figure out what that will look like going forward. We know many things in our district. From the report that we just got from Dr. Grossman, we know that there will be enrollment projections increase for elementary schools, and certain elementary schools he said to keep an eye out on. We know that there will be increases at Country Parkway and Dodge Elementary. Why is that important? We have several special education classes that are housed at Dodge Elementary. We know from our special education finding and recommendations that we'll need additional elementary special education classes district-wide. We also know that maintaining our reduced class sizes is very important as a district priority. Knowing all of these things that we have to deal with, looking at the global view of the district, we looked for outside space from our school buildings, and that's what we were in the process of doing when looking for additional UPK space. And we have located additional UPK space outside of our school buildings. Now, the total number of UPK spots will not be reduced. That is a commitment we have to our families. We know how important universal pre-K is. So we will not be reducing the total number of UPK spots. As a matter of fact, we are looking over the next couple of years to increase the total number of UPK spots so we can reduce the number of students that remain on the waiting list every year. So when we talk about moving classes from in-district to out of district, there are many things that go into those decisions and many factors that must be considered. And we are indeed doing that when we are considering moving UPK classes out of Country Parkway or out of Forest Elementary. New York State Green Ribbon Program. So as part of our strategic planning, one of the items that is in our strategic plan, our 5-year strategic plan, is to make sure that our district applies and we want to be recognized as a green ribbon schools. Now, the initial phase that we're in right now will be forming the Williamsville Committee. And the committee will have to address 3 pillars when we apply for green ribbon identification. Pillar number 1 is to reduce environmental impact and cost, including waste, water, energy use, and alternative transportation. Pillar 2, improve the health and wellness of students and staff, covering environmental health and nutrition and fitness. And Pillar 3, provide effective environmental and sustainability education, requiring robust environmental education that engages STEM, civic skills, and green career pathways. So this is something that we will be building our committee this year, and we'll be working to make sure we have identified how we're going to either reach each pillar of success or what programs we need to put in place so that when we eventually apply for green ribbon identification, we have each pillar addressed. Again, this is part of our strategic plan. Winter weather. Please make sure your student has the appropriate weather and gear. Elementary schools will still be able to enjoy outside recess daily. Walker and bus riders prepare for the elements as they make their way to and from school each day. So we want our students to be dressed appropriately, whether they're coming and going from school or they're participating in outdoor recess, which we do strongly encourage even during the fall and winter months. Also, please be sure to check in the lost and found parents, not only at your schools, but with the transportation department for any misplaced and or missing items. Milk carton shortage. Many of you have heard of this. So there is a nationwide shortage of half-pint milk cartons. Milk is still available to students during meal times through the use of a self-service milk dispenser. Students who want milk will receive an 8-ounce cup from the serving line and will be able to fill their cup at the milk dispenser in the cafeteria. In addition, our school staff will monitor and assist students as needed at the milk dispensers. PTSA Holiday Craft Show. Now, if anyone has not been to this craft show, it's so much more than a craft show. You can spend all day there at High Middle and at High Elementary. The dates are December 2nd and 3rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There is the volunteer sign-up link in the community update in board docs and the student crafter application, because we will have that this year also. So if any student crafters would like to apply to be a part of the craft show, you're able to do that. But I encourage everyone in the community to please go see all the crafts that are available. And there's a good amount of food also. There really is. So I encourage you to go take a look. Last but not least, this is a tough one, folks. So we want to sincerely thank Tom Matursky. So any superintendent is only as good as his leadership team that supports him, and only as good as the Board of Education that supports the district. But Tom Matursky, he joined the district in June of 1999 as the assistant business manager and was appointed as the assistant superintendent of finance and management services in July of 2004. He has so much history in this district, and as the former principal of Mill Middle School, Mr. Mike Kalandra said, he's been a part of so many huge initiatives in the district. We owe him so much. There's so much. He's such a great resource, so much information that Tom possesses, and we are very, very fortunate to have him as a coach for whoever will be appointed assistant superintendent of finance and management services. During the interviews, one of the candidates asked, they said, well, what are you looking for in your next assistant superintendent of finance and management services? I said, well, we're not looking for another Tom Matursky, but you got to be very close. And that's how we feel. We want someone that has the same amount of work ethic, the same amount of knowledge, the same amount of tireless needing for improvement of our school district for all of our students and families. We want someone that has that same amount of passion. So Tom, on behalf of the leadership team, the entire district, and the Board of Education, we salute you and thank you for all your tireless years of service, Tom. Thank you very much.
If I may, I just want to say that it's been an honor working for Williamsville, for all the Board of Educations to put your trust in me, your confidence. And I could not have done this job without certainly the support of all the superintendents, all those Board of Educations, and really all of the supervisors that have worked with me. They really are the unsung heroes, and they do a terrific job throughout the district. And yet I can't also fail to mention my colleagues, you know, my fellow assistant superintendents and the principals in the buildings. It's a team effort, and that's the only way things get done here. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. So, well, before we turn it over to you for the two budget presentations, are there any questions board members have from any of the items that were presented in the community update? Mr. Vanna?
Thank you. A comment and then a question. My comment is on the lost and found. I saw some pictures online, or maybe they were sent to me about just a big collection of lost, not found items. And it was mentioned to me that maybe at the parent-teacher conference days, maybe a good time for the leadership to facilitate. Hey, if you're looking for your, take a look through this table here and find out if there's a jacket, gloves, lunchbox, whatever, because the parents know what's missing.
Absolutely.
They'll find it right away. And then my question is on the UPK.
Yes.
You know, that we had this, little meet and greet with the teachers a few weeks ago, and that was and we've all received emails.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the concern is, what happens to the Williamsville teachers that work for the district when you move the UPK? Or has that not been decided yet?
The teachers who are Williamsville teachers will remain Williamsville teachers. As you heard the teacher that presented this evening, she used to be a kindergarten teacher. They will go back to an elementary teaching position. They will not lose their jobs.
So we will have no more Williamsville teachers teaching the UPK that are off-site.
Correct.
Thank you for that answer.
Absolutely.
No, Brownhall?
Yes.
Just another question on UPK. So I know the Williamsville, the school teachers, they have their own set curriculum for UPK. Would the offsite be using a similar one, or?
Well, as you heard that teacher say also, any CBO or UPK program that is in Williamsville, in our boundaries, they use our same curriculum. We actually have staff to make sure that takes place, that visit regularly, that ensure that is taking place. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dr. Lim.
I just want to make one comment on the DEI calendar. And again, all of those holidays are very valuable to give all of our students those opportunities to have the holidays off is great. I just want to make a comment on the change of the fall recess of Yom Kippur. This year is on the Sabbath, on Saturday. So, it's not a necessary day off from school, but this year most years Rosh Hashanah is during the week, which is the Jewish New Year. So I'd ask the subcommittee to consider looking at that in next year's calendar as a day off.
All right. And we will definitely take that request.
Yeah.
We'll add it to the request that we get from the community members during the 20-day comment period. Board Member Pullen?
Yes, in regard to the calendar, and I should look at it, and do we note other religious holidays even if we don't take them off?
We do.
Yeah.
place. Okay,
Yeah.
so Ramadan's on the calendar, even though it's not a day that we take off school.
Yes, and you know what? I gotta and I just want to thank the National Federation for Just Communities Executive Director Renee Pettis Jones, because that's who we partner with when we're looking at those dates that are listed in the back of the calendar and that are italicized on our the big paper calendar also. Board Member Biscaglia.
Going back
Don't
to
mind.
Your report.
Okay.
going back to UPK, sorry. Just dawned on me. So you said no teachers, they'd all be moving back to positions in the school district.
Correct.
What would happen to the positions they'd be taking in terms of the people at the school or the school district? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if,
But that would happen through attrition, right? So knowing that we get on average 20 to 25 retirements a year, it would not be displacing anyone. Our teachers who are UPK certified are elementary ed certified, so they would find, well, of course, so they would just be placed into, they'd be meeting with principals and they would be placed into another elementary position.
hope is no one would be getting caught or losing.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Mhm.
Thank you.
Question? Absolutely. Now I will turn it over to Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Management Services, Mr. Tom Matursky, first for the 24-25 budget planning review.
Thank you, Dr. Brownhall. So we're at that time of year where we begin the process of thinking about the development of the 2024-25 budget. And there are two reports I'm going to be providing tonight, and I will go back to back on them, and then we can take questions for each of those at the end. The first one is concerning what was presented to the board in October, which was your auditor, Drescher and Malecki, presented information on the end results of the 2022-23 financial statements. And then there is a report there for the summary of historical budget changes. So although the board is aware of this, I do like to provide this information for our community so that they are understanding that all New York State school districts are required by law to have the external audits. And I put the reference information there as to what section of law. So what is audited? It's our general fund, special aid fund, federal grants, capital project fund, school lunch fund, debt service fund, community education fund, and our extra classroom activity fund. So what I'm going to be really concentrating on will be the general fund, since that's what we are budgeting for 24-25 and what we budget every year. The information here, I realize, is a little bit small, but if you look online, you'll be able to see it in greater detail. So I want to concentrate, first of all, on the left side, which is the revenues, and do a comparison between what was presented at the end of our audit, which was in October, to the prior year. And you can see that it's been influenced really by growing revenues as well as growing expenses. A couple things were coming out of the pandemic, as Dr. Grossman showed on the enrollment side as well. So we're seeing the same type effects on the financial end. So when we ended the year, you see that the key items here at the bottom on the revenue side and the expense side is that we had $11.2 million of fund balance at the end of the last fiscal year compared to a minus $5 million in the prior year. So what I wanted to point out is what the really determining factors there are. And if you look at that transfer line, that really represents the determining factors. And it's really from three major items. It's from debt service payments. It's from transfers to capital for the use of capital reserve funds that we have appropriated to the security project. So in each of those years, we were completing work, and the amounts that were approved by the community in the past proposition were transferred, and it shows up there. And then we pay our bond anticipation note pay down. So those are the features that impact those line items. And as you see, we had a gain of $11.2 million in this last fiscal year. If you look at the other side of this, it's just referencing the balance sheet side. And aside from seeing that the asset amount is growing, which is what you would expect, you're seeing that $11.2 million fund balance amount showing up in that category at the end as the difference as well. So the one important takeaway I wanted to share here is that in both the prior years you're seeing, we had ARP and ESSER funding. Those funds now are completely used by the district, and so a lot of the expenses that we were able to apply to the ESSER grants are now going to be applied to the general fund starting with this current fiscal year 23-24. So that is something that's important as we move forward. As we go to the financial status, the expense increases were about 14.04%. And again, going back to the audit, that's what this is representing on page 13. That information is there. And we're also seeing what everyone is seeing on a personal note as well, post-pandemic rising costs. So that is something that is also a factor to be considered when we're building the 24-25 budget. On the revenue side, we did have an increase of 6.52%, and we will have some increases in revenue as a result, again, post-pandemic. Notably, you'll see when we get to the next presentation, sales tax is one area where we're going to see an increase in that effect. So what are the budget implications for 24-25? First of all, it's good that we have positive performance in this 22-23 budget. So that sets us up for the exit of the pandemic and being in a solid balance sheet position. We have budget safety, which is always important. You don't want to have budget deficits as you look to start your budget process for the next fiscal year. Again, I noted that we are done using ESSER and ARP funding, so those dollars amount are going to be now into the general fund. A couple things I wanted to mention regarding long-term debt service. The net long-term debt for the entire district is about $5.1 million. That's very, very low considering the size of the capital projects we've completed. And it goes to the point of we've been able to make pay downs of debt before it becomes permanent. There is one more additional item when it comes to debt. We have a bond anticipation note that comes due in June, about $6.4 million. So I believe within our budget this year, we will have enough funds to pay that off. So again, when you think about the next capital project, which is starting this summer, is the air conditioning project, we will be in a great fiscal position to start to continue that project and possibly do further debt paydowns as we go. The restricted fund balance and unassigned fund balance is at 4%. That's by law, so we're in agreement with the law. Restricted fund balance increased 19.5%, and most of that was put into capital reserves. Again, that's what we need for future capital projects. That lowers borrowing costs as well as interest costs that you'd have to pay if you were to go out with permanent debt. So as I said, the balance position for the future is solid. So if we look at the next phase of this, there's a list of about 17 years worth of budget changes that happened. And it's referenced as historical budget changes. It's a good document if you want to go back and look at any particular category that's been reviewed, added, or decreased over this period of time. It's not unusual to see that the majority of these items are going to be increase-wise are in the HR area. But if you look at this 17-year period of time, you've got total budget requests of about $115 million, total reductions about $31 million, and the net increases of about $84 million. So the annual increase, and this is the important piece, is about $5 million per year. If you go down to the next piece here, you'll see that our average salary and benefit increase before reductions is about $5.3 million. And if you then look at after reductions, and again, we will go through retirement increase that we received, as Dr. Brown Hall just mentioned, that brings that number down to about 4.5 million. And of the total increase of that 84 million that was up on top, you'll see that 75 million of that, or 89.14%, was due to salary increases and benefit increases. So the budget trends here are really that it's not unusual for us to say that human resource expense increases are not likely to change over time. And as a result, we're going to have minimal increases likely in other areas when it comes to a percentage of the total budget. So budget growth will continue into the future, even in recessions, and that's really due to the fact that your major increases in salary and benefits are contractual. And so your historical increases also show the impact of compounding. So compounding is on items that must occur each year. Salaries are a good example of that. You have a position, you have a contract, every year it's going to compound the increase. So with that, that's the first presentation. I will go into the second one.
The long-range financial planning report. Here we go.
So this is a presentation, again, done as a reference tool. And this is a very brief one. There's a more detailed written report attached, and it will be posted online as well. That written report will go through a number of items, including information on some of our audit requirements, more than just the external audit, which I just reviewed. It will include internal audits, claims audits, and other audits. It reviews our methodologies as we look forward to do budget planning in many of the different areas, from reserves. It goes through the expenditure categories. So it provides all of that detail. So for here, what I'm wanting to counter and discuss is that the annual update for this long-range plan is done to show really what the pressures are each year. It really is done at a point in time, and the estimates that are given are realistic estimates, not just for the initial year, the first year, but for each year of the projection. We want to always highlight the budget areas of concern, and we want to also know that, as you'll see in the future slides here, current budgets impact future budgets, and it's, again, that compounding effect. And so, again, this is really a reference document that can be used as we move forward. So looking at the budget requirements, our board is much aware of these for the community, just so that they're aware. On the revenue side, we're required by law to participate and complete the New York State tax cap calculation. That impacts the tax levy. In reality, it sets the tax levy for the district. State aid amounts vary each year, and they're based on New York State's approved budget. And essentially, as you will see, the total revenues that we have each year are going to dictate the total expense budget. On the budget reporting side, these are all, again, required by law: contingent budget, budget notice, property tax report card, the annual budget meeting, mailing of budget materials, budget vote, and if there is a budget that does not pass, you have the option of adopting a contingent budget or a second vote. So looking at the budget facts, again, on a revenue side, our tax levy, it represents 62.64% of the revenue. State aid is 26.36, and then you'll see sales tax, all other, represent the difference. So you can see that we're at a high percentage of pretty much 80% or so of having between the tax levy and state aid is done and really controlled by the state, not necessarily by us directly. On the expenditure side, you're seeing how salary and benefits, again, amount to the majority of what our budget will be. Again, the other areas that we may sometimes go to and look to make reductions in difficult years. They represent lower amounts of the budget, 6.73% for buildings and grounds, bus transportation 4.72, and all other is 13.29. And please keep in mind the all other means all the supplies that we buy for all the school buildings, all the contractor services, all of those items, the energy costs, they're all in those areas. So you can see how our budget is really laid out. So when it comes to financial pressures, in this particular long-range plan, state aid is estimated at 3%, or about $1.7 million in the years of the plan. The tax levy is held to 3% under the cap, about $4.3 million. And sales tax, we're seeing, at least at this stage, a $500,000 increase in year one, and then it's held constant in the remaining years of the plan. And I put a note here that our fund balance and reserve amounts, gradual reductions of $4.7 million over the plan. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move into the presentation, but you may recall that we had an audit from the Controller's Office, and they did recommend that we try and reduce those items, so that is part of this plan as well. So the average revenue increase is about $5.6 million across this plan in each year. Looking at the same pressures on the expenditure side, again, salaries and benefits, an average increase of 4% was used. It's about $5 million. Benefits are higher at $2.3 million. And then busing, the first year is at $3 million, with subsequent years going down to $700,000. So the average increase is $9.6 million for the expenditure side. So here, what I wanted to do is I'm not going to go through, again, you can look at this in detail, whether it be in the plan itself or in the presentation online. But I want to just go through the methodology here so everybody can understand how this is calculated. So the top side is just showing you the difference between revenue and expenditures in the plan. The cumulative reductions is going to be for the first year, and then without any reductions made, you'll see how that just accumulates over the course of the plan. You're also seeing the projected budget change, and if you go down below to revenues, you're seeing how that revenue between increase in state aid, tax levy, and other revenues, it essentially equals that revenue change, that $6.3 million. So again, looking at this from a more of a high level, the key here is that your budget changes. You do have some negatives that you have to adjust, but again, retirements are not considered in this model. But you do have increases that are relatively manageable as you go forward. So again, every year is different. Every year has different requirements, and we don't know what issues like salary and especially health insurance will do. So the next phase of this is getting into long-range reserve planning. And again, this is a summarized version. And what this is really showing is really two simple items here. The first column is showing what we had in the 22-23 budget. And the next column is showing a lot of zeros being appropriated, which is the end year of this plan. And that is referencing the fact that we want to try and remove the appropriated revenue areas of reserves and fund balance. And that's essentially what this is showing. And if you go to the years in between, you'll see that it's a gradual reduction. So as far as your long-range reserve planning, you want to do this. It would be best if you have additional revenue coming in. That's the easiest way to reduce your appropriated fund balance and reserves. Again, if you can look internally and make adjustments in the expenditure side without impacting the overall budget, that's the second way to do it. And you want to be careful about long-range planning on this. And what I mean is, if you see that you have like a one-time revenue in a given year, and I'll just give an example, let's say you're going to get state aid for a special purpose item of $500,000, and that is only coming in 24-25. You would not want to reduce your fund balance by 500,000 because the following year that 500,000 goes away. And as a result, now you're 500,000 short plus whatever increases you have in that year. So that's what I'm referring to as long-range planning. So lastly here, as we get to the final summary, regarding the 24-25 budget and future budgets, really the state aid increases are key, as they always are, to knowing what our fund balance and reserve reductions can be, as well as the key in building the next budget. Other revenues will increase, and we're seeing that will happen. I mentioned sales tax. I will also mention we'll have increases in interest earnings for the next fiscal year, so that's going to be a help. On the negative side, we will have some hefty increases again in the health insurance line for the 24-25 budget. And bus transportation, we will have a higher increase than what would be normal. However, that will definitely go down to more of a normal CPI level in the 25-26 budget. So that is the good news there. Certainly on the future budget side, instructional program expansion, I mentioned the compounding effect, so that's something to be aware of. Wage increases will challenge future budgets if really there are recessions, because again, they're contractually required. So lastly, I would say that if you do have any type of budget pressures or economic uncertainties, the ability to reduce your fund balance and reserves will be difficult. So you'll just have to moderate them and continue them to be able to support the budget, and understand that that is the best financial avenue for the district.
Any questions for Assistant Superintendent Matersky, board members? Mr. Manna?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Matersky. Again, thank you for your tremendous years of service. I always found you extremely knowledgeable and credible, which is what you want someone, and especially in the financial end of the taxpayers' money. So, I see that our total debt service $5 million ish, and I assume the cost of borrowing money is a lot more now than it was a few years ago. Can you kind of tell the community what that difference is as a percentage?
Certainly. We have an AA1 bond rating, which is very good. And the report I received last week showed from the prior year that interest rates now for a district like ours for bonds, say a 20-year bond, would be somewhere around 4.8%. The prior year it was about 1% less. And if you go back a couple years, it was less. When we started the security project, which is now 3 years into it, the very first bond anticipation note was around 0.9% we paid. And the one that we just took out this past June, we were closer to 4%.
And then I have another question. It's on page 5. I got a little confused on the busing. $3 million year one, which is this year, 23 to 24. And then it says 5% or $700,000 thereafter. So it drops from 3 million a year to 700,000 a year. Then how many years is that contract? I know we just renegotiated it.
Correct. The contract will begin next school year is the first year. It's a 5-year agreement. So that first year is when the new higher rates kick in. We have been moderating that increase. This year we had about a $1.5 million increase. And so we've lessened the first major hit to it. It looks like we're going to be probably somewhere around $1.5 to $2 million for the 24-25. And then after that, it goes back to the CPI increase that's done by New York State.
That usually.
It will vary every year. New York State sets it. The current one, I believe, is actually about 6.5%. So, but again, it's not going to be a 1.5 million. It'll be our transportation, contracted transportation line right now is about $10.5 million. So you're going to be around that $700,000 level.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had a question. I mean, at first, I want to thank you for being very patient with all the questions I've had since I've been on the board. I know some questions seem very simplistic to you, probably. The question I had regarding the long-term forecast is for 26-27, our budget is reducing. Is it because of our reductions in fund balance and appropriations?
Yes. Yeah.
Are we reducing it all the way down to zero, or?
No, what we're doing is the reductions are done over the period of time. So if you look at that category, if you look at more of the detail in the budget, not what I have shown on screen here, but in the actual details, you'll see that the reductions are moderate. And so I take them down through the course between the beginning and the end. And you may need more years than what are in this forecast to get to zero, but I wanted to illustrate that that's where you really want to end up.
Thank you, and thanks again.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on to President's report. On November 1st, we held after-school with staff conversations with the Board of Education. That was well attended by teachers and teacher aides. And thanks, Lynn, for cookies and coffee. Our next conversation event is scheduled for March 27th at South High School Cafe, 3:30 to 4:30. The other events and meetings are listed in board docs. Moving on to items 6B through F. 6B Policy Review Committee for 7000 series met on October 25th and will be meeting again. Mrs. Carey will schedule the next meeting. 6C and 6D ECASB and NISBA items are in board docs. Any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. 6E under board liaison assignments. School notes from our meetings are available in board docs. Please use them as reference during meetings when it comes to board liaison agenda items and submit with report following the meetings. Moving forward, Dr. Littman will be the board liaison for Maple East. Does anybody have anything else to report under liaison assignments? No? This week, we had received correspondence from community members regarding teacher aids, modified sports, fall recess, field trip protocol, and UPK program, and outdoor recess. Does anyone have any issue they want to discuss? Okay. Moving on through agenda items 8 through 13, minutes, personnel, business and finance, exceptional education, special needs, and student activities, instruction, curriculum, and other business. May I have a motion to approve the agenda items 8 through 13 as presented? Dr. Littman, Mr. Manna, any discussion? No? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. At this point, I want to congratulate Nick Sukanya for his newly appointed position as assistant principal at East High School.
Thank you, Dr. Ron Hall, Board of Education, district leadership, and the administration at East for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to starting this new chapter in my life as the assistant principal at East and working with the great families and people there that I've built relationships with over the last 4 or 5 years here. You guys have made a very happy Mrs. Suhana at home, so I thank you for that. And Tom, you know, I've only worked with you for a couple of years. Thank you for everything you've done for us during that time and obviously in the time before that. As the athletic director at East now and for the next few months, thank you for everything you've done for us in the athletic department, not just for us, but for North and South as well. So thank you for everything and best of luck. Thank you.
Congrats, Nick.
Nick, time for a picture.
At this time, I would like to thank the following retirees for their service to the district. Alexi Gostillo, laborer, middle school, 16 years of service. Thomas Maurer, cleaner, North High School, 9 years of service. Marianne Poblocki, cleaner, North High School, 9 years of service. And Michelle Vitale, clerk typist at South High School for 31 years of service. Thank you. Item number 13, policy updates. May I have a motion for the first reading of policy numbers 1510, 5661, 6410, and retire policy 1511. Ms. Poulin and Mr. Manna, any discussion?
Yes. In keeping with the discussion that we had last time about policy 1510 and adding the second public expression, I would like to amend the policy, however, keeping the second public expression. The amendment that I'm suggesting, the only difference is, and I can read the entire amendment, but the only difference would be that instead of having 2 minutes per person for the second public expression, it would be 3 to keep it consistent with what we currently have for our first public expression. So I move to amend policy 1510 under the heading public expression at regular meetings by striking number 7 and having number 1, 2, 3, and 4 read as follows. 1, sign up, sign in. Those members of the school community who wish to address the board during a first public expression period are asked to either contact the district clerk or sign up at the podium prior to the start of the meeting with their name, address, email address, and topic they wish to speak about, or B, second public expression period, are asked to sign in at the podium just prior to speaking with their name, address, email address, and topic they wish to speak about. Those speakers utilizing first public expression may only speak during second public expression on a topic unrelated to their previous comments. Speakers who read from prepared texts are encouraged to present copies of the text to the board members or to make a copy available to the district clerk within 24 hours after the conclusion of the meeting. 2, method. The parliamentarian will call upon speakers during A, first public expression in the order listed on the sign-in sheet, or B, second public expression by recognizing audience members who, when prompted by the parliamentarian, raise their hands to indicate their desire to speak. Out of respect for the person speaking and those waiting to speak, speakers should make their way to the microphone, should not make their way to the microphone, speak from their seats, or approach the microphone until called by name or recognized by the parliamentarian. Speakers must direct their comments to the Board of Education members, not the audience. 3, time. Each speaker shall have a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board. The first public expression period shall be limited to a total of 30 minutes. A majority vote of the board may extend the period for an additional 15 minutes. The second public expression period shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes. And then 4, comments. Members of the school community wishing to speak should first be recognized by the parliamentarian, then using the microphone, identify themselves by stating their name and the topic they wish to discuss, as well as the organization they may be representing at the meeting if applicable. In addition, the speaker may be asked to record their name, address, and email address in writing. That's the conclusion of my amendment.
I have no problem with the amendment. I just wanted to, I mentioned this at the North PTA meeting about, and I wanted to gather their opinions. And they were unanimously against adding the second comment period. which I found interesting. I always like to hear from the community, and the more the better. But they were like, yeah, not necessary. That people don't take advantage of it as it is. I just thought that was really interesting. I personally am for this. I think it's a good thing, but I just thought it was interesting that the people there didn't think it was necessary. I just want to throw that out. I have no problem with. I just thought that was a very interesting feedback. Interesting.
Any other comments, suggestions?
No, I think it's very well done. Thank you. I mean, on behalf of the board and I think it makes sense. I notwithstanding Mr. Boolin's experience. I know because I've heard from other people that I think it'd be great.
Yeah, no,
I think that it's up to us to determine the rules we want to conduct this meeting by, and if it helps one person, or there was one person here last week when last meeting we talked about it, who would have definitely taken advantage of it. And again, it's this district gives the stakeholders innumerable opportunities to contact us. If we give them another one, good for us.
I concur. I have no problems with it. I just thought it was just really interesting feedback.
Any other comments, suggestions? I mean,
I will second
Julian?
her. I will second her motion.
Oh, okay. That was the next thing. Anyway. Okay, Ms. Pullen is seconding the motion as amended. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. All in favor of the first reading of policy numbers 56, 61, 64, 10, 15, 10 as amended, and retire 15, 11. Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion to table these policies for a second reading and adoption at the December 12th meeting? Dr. Kerry and Ms. Pullen, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. May I have a motion for the second reading and adoption of policy number 6121 and 6122? Dr. Kerry and Ms. Kasbarak-Bogner, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 15, Committee of the Whole. Are there any matters to discuss under Committee of the Whole? None?
Mr. President, I just wanted to mention, I know you mentioned school visits and future school visits, but there was a school visit a few weeks ago that I attended along with Ms. Kazmarek and Superintendent, Dr. Spicer. Crystal was there. Ms. Poulin was there. Dr. Lippman was there. And I only attended two of the three, the one at South High School and Transit Middle. And, I was really touched at Transit Middle. Whenever I try to do these schools, I always, ask the students, especially in the shop, wood shop and automotive shop, there's a computer class and then an art class. I asked them, do you have the tools needed to do the job? Are the tools that you're provided with, are they worthy of what we're trying to get across, what we're trying to teach you? And everyone said yes. And I was really touched by a girl at Transit Middle that came from Queens, New York, in an art class. And I said, are you getting the supplies? Do you have the supplies you need? Is the school giving you everything? And she looked at me, she says, this is great. She goes, we had to pay for our own art supplies in school in Queens. And I just couldn't imagine a family who couldn't afford to do that. And these students were just so happy and so creative, painting away and creating their own little world. And, thank goodness this district spends the money to provide these tools for the students, because they really take advantage of it. And I was happy to hear that, whether it's in the automotive shop or the computer department or the art department, when I asked the question, are these the tools that you need that the school is providing? And every person said yes. So kudos to the superintendent and the principals who are really in tune with what's out there and what the students need in order to stay interested and to grow intellectually. And it was a great school visit. I look forward to doing more.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, suggestions? Moving on to item number 16 and 17, there are no items to discuss under district facilities, support services, or legislative matters. And our next regular board meeting is December 12th. And again, I want to wish our community happy Hanukkah and happy Thanksgiving. May I have a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting? Casper Pogner and Ms. Poolen. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. I think now it's time for some cake.
Second.
Yeah, right. We get a group picture with Tom for what?
Picture with Tom, the board and